Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all.
because she has short hair, you want to grow it out?
Yeah, I'm literally rethinking my hair because of this woman's attitude problems. Because listen, I don't have the Kate Goslin stacked, I hate everyone
Sure.
haircut. I don't have that.
No.
I like my hair a little bit shorter. It's
Yeah.
cute, whatever. But then when I see this chick's hair, I'm like, oh,
So just for our listeners, we started recording mid-conversation.
yes.
We're talking about Ruby Frank.
Frankie, I think it's Frankie.
Ruby Franke. So just so you guys know, that's where we're starting. Janine wants to grow her hair out because she doesn't want her hair to resemble Ruby Franke.
I don't. I want nothing of my life to resemble Ruby Frankie.
Well, yeah,
Not
same.
one part of it. No.
Oh my gosh.
Sister's a problem. But her hair, I gotta say, I mean, she's got good hair. Like it's cute. It always is like
Yeah.
it just curls just right or what, like you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
was just so offended by her whole presence. And it's just enough of the talk to the manager haircut that it's got me going, I might have to grow it out. Just a little bit.
Well, yeah, you
We'll
do you.
see. You do you. You do you, boo.
Yeah. My hair's so thick that I can do short or long.
Your hair's amazing. Give me some of your hair.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the nice thing is my hair, not to brag, but I'm going to brag. My hair was great before pregnancy,
It was.
and I don't think pregnancy's done much for it, to be honest with
Mm-mm.
you. It looks the same.
Mine was incredible. I got a haircut before my old work's Christmas party.
Uh-huh.
Because Mac was born in November. And my hair was the best it's ever looked my whole life. And it was before it all fell out. And I was like, this is incredible.
See, this is what I'm nervous about. I'm praying because my hair didn't change much during pregnancy.
You're not going to notice.
I'm praying that I don't lose any.
Mm-mm. I don't think you're going to lose any hair.
Or if I lose some, I don't want to know. I don't want to be able to tell.
Everyone panics, but the thing is, it just goes back to how it was before, and yours didn't change. So you're going to be
I
fine.
know. Mine really didn't change.
Mm-mm.
I
Nope.
will say I didn't panic. I chopped my hair off when I got right after I got pregnant, but it was also after the flood.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think I was like,
Yeah.
people were like, you chopped it off because you were pregnant. And I was like, actually, I don't think that's why. I think it was because I almost died.
Yep. I'm going to wash that flood right out of my hair.
Oh no. It was probably because I had like a pine cone stuck in it. And
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this could have been collateral damage.
Yeah. You're like, bye. We're starting
Bye.
over. We're starting over.
Starting over. I'm growing it back out.
My gosh, I don't know which Stanley I'm drinking out of right now. It's gotten to that point. I got one on the floor next to me and one next to me on the desk.
You're hilarious with your
Oh.
Stanley.
Mm-mm-mm.
I own one big Stanley and I didn't buy it. And I'm so thankful.
I know. It's such a cute Stanley.
It's so pretty.
I know.
But I always told myself I would not buy one of those big Stanleys, and I still haven't.
I know. But you love it.
I do love it.
You
Oh,
bring
and
it to the office all the
the
time.
person who gifted us those is amazing. I'm
I know,
just so
but you
happy.
just held out. You had good willpower.
I held out, and I still don't know if I'd buy one.
Mm-mm. They're big.
Mostly because I'm a Yeti person.
I love both. I have Yetis
Yeah.
too. I love
Yeah.
both. The thing about the Stanley, it's so big that I only have to fill it up once and I get all my water in the day.
Yeah.
And I usually fill it up a couple of times,
I'm say you
but
should fill it up more than once.
it helps me so much just get it done. And if I have to refill it like 5 times, I won't do it. The thing that's hilarious for our clients is because I had a hysterectomy and you're pregnant, we
Mm-hmm.
both have to pee every 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
how many times have we walked by the waiting room and we're just like, just a minute, we're
Yeah.
in the bathroom together and then we're running back in.
I know. It's ridiculous. So, I said so.
Speaking of uteruses,
Speaking of parenting and uteruses, we're going to talk
uh-huh.
about our least favorite human, Ruby Franke.
Yeah, at least right this moment.
I don't think I'll ever like her.
No, will never like her. She's not the well, you know what? She's one of the worst.
Yeah,
She's
no,
one of the worst.
her case, y'all, this is a two-parter
Yeah, it's bad.
because it just goes so deep.
It does go deep.
And y'all know me, I need to like order things in my head.
Well, and you might need a breather between part one and part two because it's upsetting.
It is upsetting.
And wasn't the name of their well, you're probably gonna set all of this up, but the name of their blog slash business, whatever, was
Eight
Eight
passengers.
Passengers, right? Because they have six
Was.
kids.
Yes, it was eight passengers.
Was Eight Passengers. Yeah, now they wouldn't be able to document the same kinds of things.
No, but it did change throughout.
Take it
So,
away, girlfriend. I'm ready.
okay. So it was funny. I'm going to talk about how this case came up. So I heard about this case. Janine and I don't do a lot of child abuse cases. I
Mhm.
don't really know why, but I think it's a subconscious part of us that we don't. It's like
Mm,
I don't want to
they're hard.
engage in those because kids are so any victim is it's just hard to read about victims of anything.
Yes.
When it's kids involved, it just feels extra difficult.
Well, and you and I cope with morbid humor, which works with adults, but not with kids. With kids, it's just heavy and sad. You can't lighten it. You can't,
No.
it's just awful.
Yes, there's nothing that you can do about
Mm-mm.
child abuse stuff
Mm-mm.
to make it sit better so you can sleep better. There's just
Mm-mm.
nothing you can do with it. So you and I don't do a ton of cases like this.
Mm-mm.
So I heard about Ruby Frank a while ago, like when all this stuff was going down
Oh, yeah.
initially, and I just remember being like, we should do a case on them. And then I was like, this is insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like insane. So then Preston sends our group text a text
Mm.
saying we should cover this case. And I was like, I know a lot about this case because I already watched some of it. And then the insane documentary came out.
Oh, yeah. And it's wild.
Yes, it's
What is
on
it on?
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay.
I do not know if we need to do a massive deep dive into the Ruby Frank situation, as I think most of America knows about the situation, mainly because of the horrific 911 call
Yes.
that happened on August 30th, I believe 2023. Is that right?
That sounds right. I didn't write
Okay.
it down. I watched the documentary, but I didn't write the dates down.
Okay. Well, it was August 30th, I think 2023. I will fact check myself. And the call was made by a neighbor of who we're not going to really talk about today, but Jody Hildebrand.
Mm,
The call was made by her neighbor about one of Ruby's sons who is able to escape Jody's home
mm.
and ran to a neighbor's house for help.
Yeah.
So that's how this story kind of got blown up, is because
Yeah.
this kid, thank the Lord,
Mm.
literally got out of this home, had the wherewithal to run and get help.
We'll be right back.
Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
And people thought Ruby was like harsh and maybe spinning a little bit, but there was like no criminal case, no real allegations. It
No.
just was like she seemed harsh.
Yeah, people start, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
That'll be in like part two.
Got it.
So we are going to start with a little bit of Ruby Frank and her family's history. Okay. So really quickly, and this, they talk about this in the documentary, so I'm not going to spend a crap ton of time on this, but it talks about Kevin's talking, her husband, and we have our opinions on Kevin.
Oh yeah, we do. We've already talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. So we got our opinions on Kevin. So it kind of starts not the documentary, but where I'm starting is when Kevin's talking a little bit about when he met Ruby. And they are from the Latter-day Saints religion. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, Mormon, right? Church of
Yes.
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yes. So they're from that religion, and Ruby Frank had a lot of suitors. Kevin is like trying to put his name in the game, right?
Yeah.
So he pursues her. She literally has a list of the dudes who are pursuing her in her room,
Mm.
like a list of them.
Oh yeah, this was weird.
Yeah. What do
Her
you
like
like?
her like chore chart of men.
Yes.
Weird.
And like and like what they do and like how they are suitable
Like
for
Boy
her.
Scout, something, something, obsessed with me, good looking. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what they all were, but it was wild. And it was like color coded.
Yes.
There's our first clue that
No,
something's a problem.
seriously. A
And how
little,
he spied on it. He saw the list and he committed it to memory. That's what he said.
yes. So Kevin won.
Uh-huh.
Long story short, he
Lucky
won.
Kevin.
They dated and then he proposed and they got married.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But just to paint the picture of like kind of the type of woman she is, it's
Yeah.
very much like, what are they going to do to serve me?
Oh, yes.
How am I going to be put on this pedestal? All that
Mm.
stuff.
And talk about how much I'm doing while analyzing how much they're doing for me.
Literally.
It's a lot.
She's a lot.
But it is a literal chore chart. Like I mean,
No, yeah.
crazy.
It's interesting because some women might be like, the girl knows her worth. That's not that.
No. This was
That's
different.
that's like narcissism, y'all.
Yeah. This was like
So
a board game that she created to find someone to court her.
literally.
Yes.
And she basically said, you won, so you get to court me now, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They get married, whatever. He's like smitten with her. And she's beautiful. I mean, she's a pretty woman.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So they start their family. Okay. I don't know when they had their first kid. I could probably look it up. Their first kid is Chad, right? He's the oldest.
He's the oldest. Yeah.
Or no, he's
Well,
not the
no,
oldest.
the daughter.
The daughter's the oldest.
Sherry
Yes.
is the daughter. She's the oldest, and then Chad.
Yes. Okay. So Sherry's sweetie. So Sherry is the oldest, and I'm actually going to look at how old she is. She was born in 2003.
Mm.
Also, can you believe people born in the 2000s are over 21?
No, it's upsetting. I don't love this.
I know. I'm like, actually, if you were born in 2020, you're 25 now.
Oh my gosh, we were doing our financing on our new car, and the guy was like, I said something like, we're in our 40th year. Me of Garrett and I like of life. I said it weird. And he was like, oh, like your high school. And I was like, shut your mouth.
Mm.
I am not 58 years old. I am 40 years old. He was like, oh, my bad.
Oh
He's
my
like
gosh.
sick. I'm like, whatever, man.
Oh, that was like when I went to the gym with my friend and she's in her 20s. And this guy, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. It's mortifying. This
Oh,
guy,
no.
he's like talking to her because he knows her brother.
Yeah.
And so he's like, how are you doing? Whatever, whatever. And then he looks at me and he goes, oh, are you her mom?
Oh,
I
oh no.
was so mad. I was like, excuse me?
Men,
Do I look old enough to be her mom?
men need to shut up about women's bodies and their ages.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe big sister,
Yeah, if that.
but not her mom.
No.
Oh, I was like, I think he wanted to die in that moment,
Oh, 100%.
which is valid.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, okay, so her oldest daughter is 22. She's born in 2003, okay?
Okay.
So a few years later,
Mhm.
like many years later, they start their career in the social media world,
Yeah.
which was in 2015 for them.
So 2015, she would have been what, 12 when they started?
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're
She was
no.
like middle school
Yeah.
age.
Yes.
And then Chad was a couple years younger than her.
Yes. So, and what's interesting is I was trying to think back to 2015, and I was living in Seattle, I think about to move home for grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like right when social media and online stuff was starting to blow up,
Yes. It was
but
getting a lot bigger.
it was getting a lot bigger, but it wasn't insane yet, from what I remember.
No, Instagram was starting to go. That was the year that I had Mac.
Okay.
And Instagram wasn't nearly what it is now. People were still
Oh.
mostly on Facebook. Facebook was big though.
Facebook was big, but it wasn't like a ton of
Mm-mm. But no
ad.
Snapchat, no like none of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So their career started in 2015 on YouTube.
Okay.
So this was when YouTube was actually getting bigger than any other platform.
And I've heard it's easier to make money on YouTube than other
It
platforms.
is.
We need to
It
get
is.
on YouTube. We need some of that YouTube money.
We do.
That's what we need.
We post on YouTube, don't we?
We do, but it's not video. So, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
have followers on YouTube.
I know we get some of our hate messages on YouTube. That's okay.
That's all right.
Whatever.
We literally could not care less. That's what's funny about it. People are mean to us in person. I mean, come at me, bro. Like
I
online,
know, right? I'm like,
whatever.
come join our group. You'll be able to do it in person instead of through a computer screen. You actually
Yeah.
might be nicer because you'd have to do it in person.
Totally.
So YouTube, they start their career on YouTube, and they start their YouTube channel, and it's called 8 Passengers. So 6 kids and the 2 parents.
Which is kind of a clever name. I thought the
It
name
is
was kind
cute.
of cute. It's
Yeah,
cute.
and they have like a van, and it's like
Yeah.
it fits, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically where Ruby, I almost called her Frankie. Ruby is just documenting herself, her husband, and her 6 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that Kevin said in this documentary, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm repeating some of like what you may already know because you probably watched it. And if you haven't, you should. He talks about how much of a go-getter Ruby is. So he's like, she wanted to be a family vlogger and she became a family vlogger. As of June of 2020, their channel had about 2 million subscribers and 1 billion views.
Whoa. A billion views?
Yes. And
In
2.5
5 years,
million.
basically.
Yeah, and 2.5 million subscribers.
Okay, that's nuts.
And what's interesting about these families, and there's a few families, and we're going to get into all this. This is going to be part of part 1. What's interesting about these family vloggers is it's literally like them showing their life
Yes.
and people being genuinely that interested in following.
Yeah.
And I don't fully understand the appeal,
Oh, I don't get it at all.
but it's a thing.
Well, and you know what? If you had a big family, though, I think sometimes it's nice to see how other people are doing it. Like, I can get the camaraderie of that.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Especially if you're like within a certain, religion, or
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you have a big family. And if you also have a big family and you feel like none of your friends do, then this could be a place where you find support,
Yeah, absolutely.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't get it fully.
No, I don't like to watch other people live except Real Housewives, but that's a whole different thing.
That's
But
That is
like
not
YouTube,
reality
just
TV.
watching somebody like do their day, like that does not interest me at all. I'm too busy doing my own. But you do you.
You do you.
You do you.
In 2020, and I have some theories. I don't know what month it started to get a little dicey. I could probably look it up.
Yeah.
In 2020 is when things started to get a little twisty
Mm.
with their videos. So let me back up a little bit. So a lot of their videos were content literally on just how to parent, how to be in relationship with your spouse while dealing with the chaos, all that stuff.
Right.
However, one of the things that Ruby's goal was to show how to be a strong disciplinarian
Yeah.
within their home.
Yeah, and she really was passionate about this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think she felt like this was the best way to serve her kids was to be really strict and stick to her guns.
Yes. Strict, stick to her guns. And then you add the religion aspect to it too,
Yeah.
which isn't bad, right? You and I are, we love Jesus and whatever. And I'm going to for sure incorporate faith into my parenting. However, it can get twisty real quickly,
Oh, yeah.
which we'll talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
So in 2020, things got more twisty, like I said,
Mm.
with their discipline techniques. And all of this was starting to show on their channel. So I think a lot of this stuff started, it wasn't as open to their page as it was behind the scenes until some of the kids started to say stuff.
They started to kind of push back, didn't they? Like they would not want to do something or not
That,
perform on demand, sort of.
yes. And that kind of came late. Yes. Yeah. That kind of came later. And I think that's because some of the discipline was more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so they weren't wanting to participate because they'd get disciplined or punished. And
Yep.
then you would jump on a screen
Yep.
and tell them to basically be happy. And they couldn't just turn it on and off.
And they were a little bit like, pound sand lady. Like they started to push back on her.
Yeah. But it wasn't, I don't even know if it was a rebellion thing though. It was more of like I remember this one part in the documentary. I think it was Chad. And she's telling him to say something kind or something, but she had just reprimanded him.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I just can't do it right now.
Oh, yeah. Or she'd be like, look at the camera, look at the camera, look at the camera. And he'd be like,
yes. And then
nah,
make
that's not doing it.
faces and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So there was some of that. You're right.
Oh, yeah. Because he was
So-
pretty little when he was doing that. But it wasn't, I'll tell you what, it wasn't like overtly
Rude.
rebellious. It was just kind of like he wasn't going to perform.
Yes, he was over it.
He was over it.
And
Yeah.
they didn't love the camera being on all the time.
Well, they started living around a filming schedule, basically.
And they were paid, quote unquote, with privileges
Mm.
if they did well.
Mm.
Yeah. And we're going to talk, this will probably be in part 2. We're going to talk a lot about Sherry Franke and what she has going for her right now
Mm-hmm.
with family vlogging and trying to advocate for it to stop,
Yes.
which I think is great.
I think it's great too.
And there's some laws coming out about family vlogging as well. Parents are starting to have to put money in funds for their children,
Mm.
an appropriate amount of funds.
They should. They're an
Yeah.
employee. Well, and didn't they say in the documentary, they were employees, but I don't think they got paid, but they were listed as employees.
Yes, and they would get paid with things like trips,
Oh.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So the parents would book something, do something, and that's how they got paid, but they didn't even actually have cash going into an account for the kids.
Yeah, not that I know of.
I don't think
especially
so.
the Frankies.
Yeah.
I think some family vloggers do that, but I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. Yeah.
All the money went to mom and dad.
Yep. And it was a lot of money.
Oh, they were making millions of dollars before it all turned around.
Yeah.
Millions, Janine,
That's just crazy.
of just filming your life.
That's just crazy.
I know. Here's the thing. I thought of this. I just thought of this. Not just, sorry. I thought of this earlier and then it just came back into my brain. We haven't learned our lessons.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Who do you think, or who do you remember being kind of the first people to start this idea of recording our life?
John and Kate +8. They hated each other. All the kids hate them.
John and Kate +8. Who else?
Duggars. Didn't go well.
Duggars.
19
Who
kids
else?
and counting. They all hate each other.
What
Uh,
about before them? What about before them?
oh gosh, before them. Oh,
Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey.
oh, I loved that show. But yes, you're right. That didn't go well either.
No, it broke up their marriage.
Oh, 100%. That's a thing on Housewives too. It breaks up a lot of marriages.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing with the family vlogging. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're just doing the videoing yourself. You don't have a camera crew in your home doing it.
Yes.
It's the same thing. And it never works.
It doesn't work.
We've learned this over and over and over again.
Yep.
I mean, shoot, isn't it the Duggars where like their son went to prison and
Yep.
done this whole thing?
Ugh.
Yeah.
No.
So
You don't learn. You're right.
I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is literally, we started with Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey.
Oh yeah, totally.
We started recording our lives and it went south real fast.
I know it never goes well.
No.
Mm-mm.
So, like I said, in 2020, things got a little worse. This was when her oldest son, so Chad, not the oldest kid, but oldest son,
Yeah.
he was about 15 years old. Okay.
Mhm.
And Ruby's videoing him and her. And he shares with the public, I lost my bedroom for about 7
That's
months
right.
and had to sleep in the basement on a beanbag.
Yep.
And I don't think Ruby knew he was going to say that
No, I don't either.
because she looked a little surprised when she said it. She laughed,
Yeah.
but she didn't look. It didn't look like she knew he was going to talk about that.
Mm-mm. And wasn't she editing it? Because people saw it.
Yeah.
But why did she leave it in?
So I think this was when the discipline techniques were starting to come out more in public.
Oh, yeah.
And not just keeping it behind the scenes because I think her kids were acting out more
Yes.
and not complying with what she wanted.
So she kind of laughed about it, but also I don't think she thought he was going to share it like that.
No, and I don't think she thought it would get the backlash that it would get because she was like, I can't even remember what the quote unquote crime was that he, had committed in their home, but
Yes.
She was big on you do this and this is the consequence.
Yeah.
Her like in her brain it was the consequence matches the crime, but it didn't.
It didn't. And her thing was really starting to be the consequence. If it's bad enough, it's going to make them think about not doing it again.
Yes.
So she would stick to it if she said she was going to do something.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There was another time, and this one, I mean, they all pissed me off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
15-year-old boy can, it's abuse. What she did was abuse.
Sure.
And neglect. However, a 15-year-old boy can like handle himself.
Well, and it's not necessarily like new. I remember even when I was a teenager, this never happened in my house. I want to be very clear.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't uncommon in evangelical circles, but even in secular circles, like they're not entitled to privacy. You take the door off the hinges.
I was literally just thinking that in my brain.
I mean, that was something that was, this was happening around this time. This wasn't just her.
Yep.
I
mean, she took it to a different level and thought it was okay.
Yes. And tied it to religion, which is its own thing. But the belief at the time generally was a little bit of like parent or kids aren't entitled to anything.
Right.
I'll take your bed, I'll take your door, I'll take your whatever.
Absolutely. And she talks about that, right? She's like, she'll talk about entitlement and
oh yeah.
Anyway, something like that. Right. Yeah. Oh, humility. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I can't with
the word humility. And I was like, Ruby Franke, girlfriend.
Sit down.
You are the last human.
Down.
Last human who can talk about humility. Girlfriend, you had a freaking board game on your wall of men.
The chore chart.
The chore chart.
Color-coded.
We got to talk. You want to talk about
what kind of man, like just for 2 seconds, you got to let me harp on this, okay? What kind of man sees a chart like that and goes,
that's a good idea.
She'd make an incredible wife.
That's a good idea. I'm going to date her.
Oh my, I mean, that is the most high maintenance nonsense thing. Garrett would be like, nope. If Garrett had
Oh,
come into my house and seen that, he would have been like, yeah, no, it's not
oh,
happening.
same with Preston. He'd be like, yeah, we're not dating.
Preston would not have any patience for that kind of mess. He just would not.
No, and neither would I.
No, me neither.
If I want, I mean, I basically told Preston before we started dating, because there's a few other girls that were trying to date him. And I
Mm-mm.
said, hey, man, I don't get in line.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I don't get in line. So, like,
Don't get in line.
we're either going to date or we're not.
Yeah, or like, you know what? Date them all. You come back anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I might not be around, but you
Yeah, I
know.
mean, I can't promise I'll still be here, but I can
He's
tell you
gonna
how well that's going to
he's
go.
gonna hate this when he'll laugh because I give him crap.
Oh,
all the
he
time.
will laugh.
So the other thing that she did that made me furious because I think of my little girl and I'm like, you soon to be little girl, and I'm like, there's no freaking way I would ever do this. Anyway,
Nope.
she sent her 6-year-old to school without a lunch
Mm.
because she literally was basically felt that she was old enough where she could be responsible enough for herself to get her own lunch, to make her own lunch,
Oh, that is the worst thing.
and should have made her own lunch. And because she didn't get one that day.
And your child is going to need lunch. Let's just be clear.
Oh, yeah.
But also, what in the world? Like, and they showed these little kids like carton trash bags out. And listen, Mac has things around the house that he does. He
Yes,
helps scoop the poop. He helps put
of
things
course.
away. Like, it's great. And
Yes.
he values being helpful. But at 6, 7, 8, even now at 9,
Yeah.
that kid is not solely responsible really for anything. He helps with lots,
Oh, yes.
but he doesn't have the bandwidth in his brain to remember things on a schedule or anything. You know,
No.
it's just too much.
Well, yeah, and it's not their job yet.
Uh-uh.
I think it becomes their job when they get somewhat into middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Not to make their own lunch. Hear me out. Like, parents should still be funding their lunches,
Oh, yeah.
but to manage a little bit of your after school schedule,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like,
Mac does his homework. He comes home and does his own homework.
yeah,
Manage
yeah.
all that for him.
But as you grow, you give more of these responsibilities to them. But when
Yes.
they're freaking elementary school, no, no, ma'am.
And even then, what's the best way to teach? Model.
Yes.
And if a kid misses a step or they forget something, you come alongside them and you say, oh, you wouldn't have had a lunch if I didn't step in to help you, but I'm going to help you
Yes.
because you need a lunch, sweetheart. But here's blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You got to help
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
I don't know what this is.
So
Good.
she sent her to school without a lunch, and she didn't bring her one when the teachers called. No one brought her a lunch.
Oh,
A
man.
6-year-old.
I do wonder what those like, what did the administration say? You know, like, we'll never know, but I'm,
No, yeah. Yeah. She also sent, I believe it was Chad. I think it was Chad. I don't think it was Sherry. Maybe you remember. Sent, I believe it was Chad, to one of those wilderness schools for troubled teens.
oh, yeah.
Was it Chad or Sherry?
I know it was Chad.
Okay. Which here's another thing about that. Back then,
Mhm.
really up till probably now,
Oh,
those camps, if you will, were
oh, they abducted children.
wildly,
Oh,
wildly abusive.
abusive, unsafe.
I mean, kids have died doing those because they
Absolutely.
deprive them of water and food.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Yes, it's horrible. We should actually do a whole episode on some of those because there's this dude, and I don't remember his name. I will do a whole episode on this.
Mm.
There's a dude who literally kept these programs going, and he would change his name,
Oh gosh.
program name, every time it would get shut down, he would reopen one.
So unsafe, so crazy. Well, we should do the Paris Hilton one,
Yeah.
you know? But
Yep.
no, terrible. And I'm pretty sure Jody was in the picture then.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
Jody was in the picture then.
Okay.
Or starting to be.
Starting to be, yes. Well, and some of the other things, and we're gonna get to Jody in the next one because she's
Yeah.
a whole thing in herself.
Oh, she's her own episode.
Oh, she's yeah, she's a nut.
Jody, dun dun dun.
She's a nutball.
Oh yeah.
Ruby Frank would also threaten to cut the heads off of her kids' stuffed animals.
Oh my God, when she grabbed the kitten and
Yes.
she goes, I'm gonna cut the head off of your kitten. Not pet or stuffed kitten. Not their pet. I'm so sorry.
Stuffed animal.
Stuffed animal. But she's
Never alive.
literally holding the neck of the stuffed animal
Yes.
with scissors.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
No. Just
That's
terrible
how you
stuff.
get your kids to kill you. That's how that happens.
Well, yeah,
Modeling.
the freaking Menendez brothers, y'all.
Social learning theory. If you show them how to do this stuff, then they're going to start doing it to you.
If you missed the mini this week, go listen.
It's bad. It's bad.
Go listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
She did a lot of other terrible things. It wasn't even, it's worth but not worth mentioning all the things that she did. She just started to become kind of a monster, in my opinion. So, what happens when things start to show in the public? What do you think?
I think that she had to either intensify her tactics or find a different way to get them to play along.
Well, what do you think the public did, though, when they started to see all these insane things that she would video and post?
Knowing our public probably had a fit online about it, said all kinds of things, pulled their support, but probably a lot of people kept watching too out of curiosity.
Well, yeah, because it's a madhouse in a nutshell.
Totally.
But yes, a lot of people started pulling their support.
Oh, yeah.
So they went down.
Which affects their money, like right away.
Well, their income went down like 90%.
Oh, yeah.
Because of this.
Oh, gosh.
A ton.
And their lifestyle, because didn't they move around this time too?
Yes.
Yes, because they had bought like a big house. So now you have a lifestyle that requires this.
Yes.
To a degree.
Yep. So they lose all this money, lots of followers, lots of popularity. And Kevin says this in the documentary. He says, what did she do? She just intensified everything. Because to her,
yes,
she was still doing the right thing by God, raising her family in this way, and that this type of parenting is what her family needed.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
A nightmare.
So really quickly, that's kind of where we're going to end the story today. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the psychology trauma behind that. But before we get there, I got to just say something about Kevin. And this is going to come up in the next one too. And I'm sorry if I repeat myself, but I'm not sorry.
You're fine. It's worth saying twice.
Sorry, not sorry. I am sitting here watching this freaking documentary. Okay. First of all, let me back up. When I first started reading about this case and hearing about it in the news and all this stuff, I'm sitting there and I'm like, where the actual F is the father? What's happening?
I thought that so many times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when all this was actually happening, like present time, and she was in the news, I literally was like, I know who the dad is, but like, who's the dad?
Yeah, yeah. Where is he?
You know, where is he? What's happening? Why didn't he step in? This is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And because of their religion, I'm sitting there thinking like, that's a pretty patriarchal.
Patriarchal.
Patriarchal?
Patriarchal. Yeah.
I can never say that word, patriarchal.
I know.
It's like
it's up there with asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation. I can say that one for some reason. I couldn't say cinnamon for the longest time.
I know.
I'd say cinnamon when I was younger.
Oh, that's cute.
I know. It's not cute when you're in high school saying cinnamon. That's not a cute thing.
Or library.
I don't say library.
No, I know you don't.
Library. Okay, anyway.
I had a friend who did that. It was hilarious.
But being in the Mormon religion, I'm sitting there thinking like, where's he at? Normally husbands are
Yeah.
quote unquote head of the household, the one in charge, and that's not the case in this situation.
Oh, that was a nice way to say that. Yes.
I know. Trying to be mindful of our
Yes.
audience.
She walked him around like a dog on a leash.
Yes.
Oh,
So
so
then
sad.
I watched this freaking documentary, and I'm going to just say my opinion, and
Oh,
then we're going to move on.
do it.
You can share yours too, as also,
Oh, you
obviously.
know I have one.
I'm sitting here, I was like angry watching him because I'm sitting there and I'm like, you MFer. Like, you're sitting here painting this terrible picture of your soon to be ex-wife. I think
Oh
they
yeah.
are, I know he filed for divorce. I don't know if they're officially divorced.
Mm-hmm.
You are painting this picture of your ex-wife, which is true. Like, she's a nightmare and she's terrible
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true.
and significantly
Yeah.
ill mentally.
Yeah.
But where the frick were you, bro?
Okay. The thing that will make you spit out your coffee, if I say it at the right time,
I'm
is
not drinking coffee, thank God.
no, I know, but anytime I call someone a sad sack,
Uh-huh.
you like lose it. And I wait and I wait and I store them up.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone is just has the longest, saddest story in the world and there's no point to it and they're just a victim to their circumstances, every once in a while I'll be like, they're just a sad sack.
I know. Well, you actually said this to someone one time,
Oh yeah, oh no, I'll say it to you. I will
and it
tell
was the
you,
best. It was
you're
the
just
best
a
group.
sad sack.
It was the best group we had
I
at one
know.
time.
Sometimes you got to name the thing, but I
Yes,
think that this guy was just really controlled by this woman from the beginning.
I agree. Here's what I don't fully get, and I think this is
Mhm.
because I've been raised around strong men.
Yeah. Yeah.
My brother, my twin, he's real sensitive.
Yeah.
Like and I don't think he would care that I say this.
No.
He's more emotional than I am historically. Like that's just true.
Yeah.
He's still really strong
This
emotionally.
my brother is sensitive emotionally, can feel all the things, is also very strong.
Yes.
So they're not mutually exclusive.
No. And we were raised by strong men
Uh-huh.
and women, right?
Oh yeah.
We were raised by strong men, and my husband and I know Gare too. They look different when it
Yeah.
comes to this, but they are both also very emotionally strong.
Oh yeah.
I cannot go, and I am glad that I can't do this.
Yeah.
I also don't, this doesn't happen to me,
Mm-mm.
but I can't go and just boss Preston around.
No, you can't railroad. Neither of us can railroad our partner or would want
No,
to.
no,
But
not at all.
this dude, there's a few things though. I think he was ass backwards in love with her. He looked at the chore chart and thought, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
Not this is weird and she's maintenance. Okay. He's like, sign me
Right,
up for this. I'll compete
right.
for the rest of my life. And he did.
He
He
did.
had to compete for her affection, attention, everything. I mean, he fought for his life with this woman to
I
keep
know. I
at
know.
the expense of his children.
And we're gonna get way more into that in part two because there's so much that involved Jody in all this.
Yes.
So we're gonna get more into some of that. But I gotta be honest, at the end of the documentary, and maybe this is the avoidant attachment in me or like the borderline psychopathy spectrum in me.
You're not a psychopath. I say that with authority.
No, I know I'm not a psychopath, but I'm more on the psychopathy spectrum than my husband.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
We've,
true.
I, we've identified that in an
That's
earlier
true. We
episode.
have. Yeah, no, that's true.
So maybe that what I'm gonna say has to do with some of that. I don't know. I would
Yeah.
be curious of what you think. But at the very end, they ask him like, "Do you still love her?" And he tears up and he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You're
Oh,
an idiot,
well, and he's
dude."
kind of like, I miss my wife. I mean,
Yeah.
really.
When he's like, I do love her." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My husband pulls a fraction of the shit she pulled. I'm out, bro. Like,
That's like, I'd forget his name. Who's that?
My little girl would be like, "What about dad? Who's dad? I don't know."
I don't know. I can't remember. He
And
did something wrong once. I don't remember what it was.
we don't talk about him. And I
Mm-mm.
hope my husband would do the same thing about me if I was that insane.
Yeah,
You know?
I know. Well, if I think it comes down to hurting the kids because
Yes.
I would go through an awful lot with my husband and I love him so much and I would want to stay with him. The line though is
See,
your
you have
kid.
zero psychopathy. You are not on the psychopathy
No,
spectrum.
no.
I am a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would fight really, really hard with my husband for just about anything. But I got to tell you, I mean, if something was going on with Mac, I mean, that game over. Like, I would have no patience. And you know what? He wouldn't with me either. Nah, he wouldn't.
That's,
If I
yep.
was hurting our son.
Yes. And that's how we are. I mean,
Yes.
we both, your marriage, my marriage, we've all
Oh,
fought
yeah.
for each other.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Press and I didn't have the easiest first couple years. They
No.
were really freaking hard.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we fought for each other. So it's not that I wouldn't fight for him.
Oh, yeah. But if he pulled this kind of stuff, no.
Oh, we're done. It's done.
No, and I would be done too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I'm sitting there when he's saying how much he still loves his wife and he misses his wife.
When you see the shape that these children are in the next
It's
episode,
so bad. You guys,
it is unbelievable. And that makes him tearing up over his wife make no sense.
exactly. That's what
That's
I'm
the part.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to the extent that this
Yep.
went, I would be like, Preston who?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kevin who? You
Oh,
know what I mean?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Who's Frank? Who's Ruby?
The oldest daughter, I'm heartbroken for her because
Mhm.
she was the one. She was the one who had to create distance, set boundaries,
Oh yeah.
pay attention to what was happening with the kids, not her father.
She said she will never talk to her mom again.
Mm,
She doesn't call her mom. She
mm-mm,
calls her Ruby.
mm-mm.
She will never have a relationship.
She doesn't call him dad either.
No,
She calls him Kyle, right? Is his name?
Kevin.
Kevin. She calls him Kevin.
Yeah.
I don't blame her.
And that's the thing, right? And here's the thing. You and I both married really amazing people. This is why you have a son with your human. I'm having a little girl with mine.
That's right.
And we're so excited. And,
Yeah.
I had a mental, a mental breakdown this week and weekend.
You
And
did. You did.
Carrie on top was a missing gift card.
Oh,
And my
put you
husband,
right over the top.
oh, push me right over the I have the sweetest husband. No pushover, but sweetest,
Oh, absolutely.
you know?
Good man. Yes.
So we married good people who would never pull stuff like this.
No.
But that's part of this, right? We didn't see a insane chart in their room. They didn't see an
No.
insane chart in our room.
No.
And that's part of the mental health piece of their dynamic as well.
Well, Garrett and I, we laugh sometimes because I'm way sassier than him, but every once in a while he'll say something just because it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, it's the best when Garrett gets sassy.
Oh, it's so
It's
funny.
my literal favorite thing.
Oh, it's so funny. No one believes this is true. You're one of the only people that gets to see it.
I feel blessed.
It's hysterical. And sometimes he'll look at me and be like, but at least you're pretty. And I'm like, oh, can you imagine if you actually talk to me that way? And he goes, no, that's why it's funny.
That's
Because he knows
why it's funny.
if he meant it, like poof, I would
Oh,
be
yeah.
gone. Like I just would never be treated that way.
Oh yeah, no.
But I think in this case, there are religious factors too that we're going to get into in the next episode that I
Yeah.
think informs some of it, doesn't excuse any of it. It's still
Right.
ridiculous. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of people with this faith background that would never, ever, ever do half the things these idiots did.
No.
But I think it was a factor for him, certainly, and a little bit for her.
Well, and the hard thing that gets a little spicy with all of this with the religion is that, and you and I both know this, and this happens in any religion or faith
Oh, yeah.
background. It can happen, I should say,
Yeah.
is we turn it to, well, I do this because of what I believe.
Yeah.
And there was a sense of that with her,
Yes.
right? Like, I'm going to raise them in this way.
Yeah.
They, if I'm not seeing humility, that means there's entitlement. And it's, it's just real backwards.
Yeah.
And so we're going to end there today. The big thing that I want y'all to take away from this is, one, obviously some of the story and their history, but two, this was a disaster from the beginning.
Yes.
Okay, like we saw signs from the very beginning that were going to point us in a direction that wasn't good.
Absolutely.
Right? And that goes into the mental health piece.
Yes.
Right? I don't know much about Ruby Franke's background with her family, but I think she was pretty privileged.
Yeah.
I don't recall there being abuse for her or her experiencing a lot of abuse. There might have been some legalism and religious stuff
Oh, yeah.
that would track.
Yeah.
And maybe her parents were super strict. But I don't recall there being this crazy, like what happened to her kids happened to her.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that happened.
Yeah. I don't get that sense.
No. And so I want you guys to be thinking for our next episode kind of around the mental health piece of this wasn't good from the beginning. There's a lot of manipulation,
Yeah.
a lot of mental health stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have my guesses of diagnoses, which we'll get into in the next one.
Absolutely.
And
We're going to talk about possession, demon possession, whether or
y'all,
not
we're gonna get into some spicy stuff.
well, not whether or not that's real, because that's above my pay grade, but what it does and does not look like compared to
Yes.
trauma.
Correct.
Yes.
And manipulation.
And manipulation. Yes.
So we're gonna get into all that, but I want you guys to have a little bit of a picture of what was happening, what our thoughts are from the very beginning up to where we're stopping this first part.
Yes. And you don't want to miss the second part because it gets nuts from here.
It gets twisty.
We are just warming up.
Yep. Y'all, we have some good episodes for you guys this month. We are trying to get ahead because baby Gray's coming soon.
She is. We're on a
And-
tear, but we have a plan.
And we are we're bringing some heat this month for you guys.
Yes. So stay tuned for part 2 next week.
Yep. As always.
Bye, forensic friends. I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.